welcome to Eye on You. I'm your host, Tina Hunt, and we have a great debate planned for you today. Today we're going to be debating illegal immigration. We have a panel that is fired up and ready to go. Let's meet our panel. We have our host facilitator, Dr. Antonio Brown.
Hi, Tina.
Dr. Brown holds a PhD from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.
Yes.
He also teaches, he has also taught at USC, UCLA, Loyola Marymount University,
yes,
and Stanford University. Got it?
Yes.
Dr. Brown. Okay, hosting on our right today, we have Mel Flynn. And Mel is, let me see here, Mel holds a lot of titles. Let me pick and choose here. Mel is a delegate to the California Republican Party, regional vice president of the California Congress of Republicans, and the current president of the Hollywood Congress of Republicans.
Yes.
Welcome, Mel.
Thank you.
All right. We have hosting on our left today, Hector Serrano. Hector is, well, you were the former LA Harbor Planning Commissioner,
Yes.
and that was under Mayor Eric Garcetti. Okay,
yes.
and you were also the former candidate for the California State Senate, District 35.
35, yes.
Welcome, Hector.
Thank you,
All
Tina.
right. Mel, why don't you introduce your guest on the right?
Okay, sounds good, Tina. We have John Goya. He is the COO of West Ocean MD. He's also Endless One Global Banking Systems U.S. Ambassador, and he's on the advisory board. He has extensive international business experience, and he currently serves as a treasurer for the Republican Party of Los Angeles County.
Welcome, John. All
Thank
right.
you.
Hector, your guest on the left today.
Today on the left we have Luis Nolasco. Luis Nolasco is a community engagement and policy advocate for the Civil Liberty Union, and his main focus on the job was on immigrant rights, police practice, and equal education.
Okay.
Welcome, Luis.
All right, thank you. I also would like to introduce today our host moderator, and that is Jeffrey Bennett. Mayor Bennett served 3 terms as mayor of the city of Corona. He's also a former CNN headline news anchor. Welcome, Mayor Bennett. You know what? We don't have much time, so guess what? Dr. Brown, let's get this debate started. Take it
Okay,
away.
let's
All
get right into it, folks. We're going to go ahead and get started and hear from Mayor Bennett. What is our question for today?
What are the solutions to illegal immigration in America today?
Well, that sounds like a great question to start with. We're going to start now with John here on our right.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tina, and Dr. Brown. Thank you for having us here. I think illegal immigration policies in the United States have to change drastically. The only solutions we have is to be more like the laws in Mexico, to be honest with you. Their laws seem to work very well. And our laws here, when people come in, especially with visas from other countries, we seem to lose them. And that's becoming a very large problem. Our borders need to be protected. If we don't protect our borders, how do we know who's coming in? So I think we have a 360-degree change in policies because we have to look at all the facets that we presently have on our books.
And let's hear from the left. Luis, what's your thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, you know, the United States, I think, needs to reform, again, similarly, its current immigration systems and policies that are in place. Quite honestly, they're flawed and outdated. The backlog that exists for people trying to petition to come into this country is backlogged. People are waiting decades, on the system. So we need to fix that, obviously, right? But we also need to address the current issue where we have 11 million people who are undocumented in this country, and we need to offer them a streamlined, efficient process to a pathway to citizenship, right? Because it's just inhumane and I don't think quite possible to try to deport 11 million people from this country. But the reality too, we got to acknowledge is that, immigration is a global phenomenon, right? It's going to continue to happen. So the quicker we address this issue of immigration and creating policies and laws that are humane and treat people, all immigrants, with the dignity and respect they deserve, I think we'll be at a better place.
Well, Luis raises some interesting points, John, but how would you respond?
Well, here's the point. I think our biggest problem is that our laws are absolutely too humane. And when I'm talking about too humane, for example, if you are an illegal immigrant and you come to this country and you're in your 50s or 60s, and you go before one of our humane groups, all of a sudden you get a check in the mail for $400, $500, you get food coupons, you get health care. And the people that have worked in the United States all their lives might end up getting the exact same benefits that you have. So what's happening is a lot of people from around the world are coming to the United States not to work, like our legal immigrants, and you talked about the problem that we have with legal immigrants. In fact, there's 100,000 Mexicans that are trying to get into the United States every year, and there's almost 100,000 in Central America, and they're not coming because of the illegal problems that we have. So I think we need to look at our entire processing and stop giving away everything we have.
How would you respond to that, Luis?
Yeah, you know, actually, it's very interesting that you mentioned that the social welfare, right? Essentially, EBT, those social services. The reality, though, is that a lot of people who are undocumented don't have access to those things. Healthcare, food stamps, all those things you need legal permanent residency to achieve or to have access to. And I know this because I work with community members that are undocumented and have, you know, there's also the stigma of going to social service agencies or any sort of type of government agency because of this current fear that if I go and outreach and try to get these resources, there's a possible fear and threat of deportation. They don't trust these service agencies. So yes, there are individuals that do, but the majority of the people don't have access to, nor can they apply, nor do they even want to because of this huge fear, and they're living in the shadows.
Well, you've each
I
raised
disagree
really
with
great
you.
points, but let's open the discussion up a little bit. I want to hear from all of us.
Okay, that's absolutely not true. They do receive social services. They absolutely do. Anyone can do their research and find that out. That is a fact. Medical care, no one is denied. Nobody. If you go to a hospital, you're taken care of here in the United States. I don't care who you are, legal or illegal. So that's just not true. That is putting a burden on the taxpayers and on the American people. We have to pay for that. Somebody has to pay for it.
These illegal immigrants, they actually come in and they work in these fields and these corporations, so they contribute to the to our government. Actually, there's been a study, a research study, on the Fiscal Times that the illegal immigrants, they contribute $11.8 billion on the federal government, state, and local government.
Actually, no one's been able to prove that. No one has been able to prove and document that. And I think what you're talking about is a lot of the legal temporary workers that come into the United States. But Mel is absolutely correct. I work in hospitals, and I can tell you that our emergency rooms are packed with people that come in with their kids, with themselves, and they have no insurance, and we don't turn anybody away. And I will tell you that the social welfare, I know of specifically within my own family where people have come in, their grandparents have come in from other countries and have been brought into homes here to be taken care of.
Well, they should
So
be
that's not
provided.
true.
I mean, they should be provided some kind of resource. I mean, if these immigrants are breaking their backs, which is I mean, they're the backbone of this
about those
country.
people.
Yeah.
Well, Luis, you're working with this every day. What do you have to say?
And I mean, for what you're talking about, I believe you're talking about emergency Medi-Cal, not actual Medi-Cal. If your actual Medi-Cal has restrictions, if you look it up, to access medical services, and you can't even buy into the current Obamacare exchange without, you
Yeah, not yet, but we're saying you could go get health care. You can go to any hospital. You're not going to be
it's
turned
emergency
away.
Medi-Cal.
But no, they're using it primary care as well.
cuts.
Yes, exactly. Anything across the board. And they do get other social services, EBT, like you said, shelter. I mean, it's just a fact. Anyone can look that up. It's
But
true.
but they work very hard for it. I mean,
How?
they contribute some kind
get
of
work out here. How
One
are they
at
going to
a
get work?
time, folks. Let's hear Hector's point.
they contribute some way to the government. I mean, studies have shown that they actually do pay taxes when these workers, they get funding, they get paid, they actually spend it into the United States, the economy. So whenever they purchase a product, they have to pay taxes. So
But a lot of them
they
do
should-
send
they
it
should
home
get-
to
they
the
should-
Let's hear
respective
from Mel
countries.
now, Hector.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of them do send their money home to help out their, family members in, Central America, Mexico, where China, I don't know where, but anywhere they do that. They send money out of here. A lot of people are working under the table, so they are not paying taxes either.
And John, you had a point. It
Well,
seems.
let me give you, let's move away from Central America. Let's move into the Caribbean. If you look at the Caribbean and you look at welfare, especially in the New York, New Jersey area, some of those Caribbean islands live on the welfare that the people get here, and they send bags of food to the islands every month. Number one. Number two, I know specifically of people that have come in from the Caribbean islands, I'm Cuban, so I can say this. Specifically, a Cuban lady who gets as much money every month from the federal government. She never worked her day in her life in this country, yet she gets more money by $100 than by a woman who worked 45 years in this country, who's on Medicare and not on welfare, but on Social Security. We have to change the laws because you know what? Yes, Lady Liberty. Lady Liberty is in the harbor, not Lady Freedom.
Well, Cubans have brought a lot of resources to Miami. I mean, Miami would not be what it is today because they actually created a lot of jobs, which is building restaurants.
Legally.
They brought their culture. And
legally.
everything.
Well, Luis, I noticed John raised a great anecdote, but I think you've got some response to that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the issue of like sending money back to their home country also raises a very huge, important question that we often leave out of this immigration debate. Like, what are the sources for the migration of these people? Why are people coming here, right? And I think if we don't acknowledge the actual systemic issues within these countries, like the poverty, civil wars, and the fact that a lot of it did, at least with Latin American countries, a lot of it did have to do with U.S. intervention. So looking at that.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but yes, the U.S. is the best country in the world by far, okay? So I understand why they want to come there. That's not the question. We know why they want to come there. There's a lot of hardship, poverty, everything, all over the world, absolutely. But can we house everyone here in the United States? We can't do that. That's all we're saying. We understand why they're coming here, but we can't take care of the whole world and their problems. We cannot.
So that takes us back to the basic question. I've heard a lot of stories, but where are the solutions? How do we solve this immigration problem?
Well, if I may, I really think that we need to close our borders.
Yes.
We need to make sure that everyone that's come, because you know what? We have a lot of enemies around the world. And I'm not talking about Central and South Americans. I'm talking about the people that are coming to those countries, paying money and coming across our borders. They're here to destroy us. I think that if we put programs in, solution one, I think, and I've said this before, let's put a banking system in those undeveloped countries that we interfere in, but yet they all want to come to us. And let's give the money and the loans to the people, not to the governments. Because one of the problems we do is we give a lot of money to the governments, and the governments keep them. For example, Panama gets $18 million a month from the World Bank. And they put 18 and 19 helicopters to send it around the country. That's absurd.
So
let's do something
closing
different.
the borders is the answer. How do we do that?
There's different ways. I mean, they have virtual fences. They have all different ways. You know, we have better technology now, so you know it's something that could happen if they really put their mind to it and choose to do it. And just really, keep a close eye on who's coming in. And it's not just the southern border. Lord only knows what's going on in the northern border. That's a big problem there. It's wide open. So that's one way to do it.
And so for my friends on the left, is closing the borders the answer?
Absolutely not. If we actually open the borders and give some kind of resource to these immigrants and making the process faster for them to become legal and citizens, they're actually gonna contribute more to the taxes, and they're gonna provide more resources. I mean, you have scholars who wrote about this, that if they pass a policy that Obama wanted to pass, as far as like making the process much faster for immigrants, they actually can contribute about $1 billion every year for more resources in the government.
We have 93 million Americans out of work today. Why don't we put those 93 million to work before we let anybody else into the country?
Well, the jobs that immigrants are doing are.
Oh, no. I'm an actor in LA. Don't tell me.
I'm an immigrant.
I've done all sorts
The
of
Coachella
jobs
Valley,
here.
for example. A lot of the farm
I'm an
workers.
immigrant.
Okay.
It's your
Okay.
party.
1 second.
All
folks.
right.
No water.
This is great. We've got to go to break.
Okay.
All right? But when we come back, we're going to bring in the youth. Now, you've heard that statement. Ask a teenager while they still know everything. But we're going to bring in our youth because they have the solutions, okay? All right? So, back in a moment.
Cause nothing ever gonna make this world better if we don't start believing that love really, really, really is the answer. Everybody join hands, cause it's time now. Spread the love all over the world. Spread it all over the world.
Welcome back to having a great debate today on illegal immigration. Let me go ahead and reintroduce our panel. We have our host facilitator, Dr. Antonio Brown.
Thank you.
And we have hosted on the right, Mel Flynn. And on the left, Hector Serrano.
Thank you.
Let me introduce our youth today. We have here Ben Chapman is going to be debating on the right today. And Ben is concluding his final semester at Orange Coast College with a degree in communications. Ben is also actively involved in statewide political campaigns, and he is a political activist, blogger, and runs a conservative-based page, RepublicanThinker.com. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you so much.
All right. And on our left today, we have Nathaniel Haas. Nathaniel is a senior at the University of Southern California, USC. During the summer of 2014, Nathaniel worked full-time as an intern for the United States Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid. Woo, impressive. All right. Welcome, youth. I also would like to introduce today our host moderator, and that is Jeffrey Bennett. Mayor Bennett served 3 terms as mayor of the city of Corona. He's also a former CNN Headline News anchor. Welcome, Mayor Bennett, and thank you for your service today.
Glad to be here, Tina.
All right. Okay, Dr. Brown, let me turn you loose and let's see what these youth have to say.
Okay, this is great. I'm going to ask Mayor Bennett to please repeat our debate question for the day.
Certainly, Doctor. What are the solutions to illegal immigration in America today?
Okay. Well, we're going to start off on the left this time. Nathaniel, what do you see as solutions for?
Thank you for having me. I think the first solution is to pass the bipartisan immigration bill, comprehensive immigration reform. I think that contained 3 really important pieces of reform, if you will. The first that it contained is an important emphasis on a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented people that are currently in the United States. The second thing that it contained is a reform of our drastically broken visa system, backlogs of up to 10, 20 years, depending on what country you come from. And the third thing that it strengthened as a compromise, which I think is important to bring both sides of the aisle together, was a reform to our E-Verify system, which made it easier for employers to monitor if they're employing people that are undocumented. But the solution also needs to take into account the long-term structural challenges that face many of the countries south of Mexico in the Northern Triangle, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras. These people are coming because they're running away from the most dangerous countries in the world, and with international investment targeted at those countries, the flow will go down. 2012 was the first year that children were coming in more amounts from south of Mexico than they were from Mexico, and that's important.
And on our right, Ben, what do you see as some solutions to our immigration issues?
Yeah, thank you again for having me, Dr. Antina. Well, right now we have 11 million illegal immigrants in our great nation. And if we don't do anything about those 11 million, well, we're going to get 11 million more. We need to secure the border. That is the first thing that we need to do. We need to get better technology watching the border. We need to get more boots on the ground. And we basically need to stop the incentive for these illegal immigrants to come to America. There are 93 million Americans out of work right now. They're good paying jobs, and those jobs are being taken by these 11 million illegal immigrants. So if we do nothing, we're just going to get more. And so I think the spigot, that incentive that gets them here, we basically need to cut that off, because again, we're just going to get more. And we have Democrats in office right now who are not allowing the border to be secure. We have a president who is doing nothing about these laws that are already implemented with the border. And so we need to stick to those. We need to get strict, and we need to knuckle down on these illegals who are in here. So what I think we should do is we turn off that incentive. We find these corporations and these big businesses that are hiring these illegal immigrants. We find them, maybe prosecute them until they get it through their mind that they can't do this. There are plenty of American workers out there that want these jobs, and what'll happen to these workers who can't find jobs, who can't find a means to have income here? Well, little by little, they'll just go home.
Nathaniel, what's your response?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I'll respond to a few things. First, the idea that Obama's not enforcing the law is just wrong. He's presided over one of the largest peacetime outflows of people, including undocumented immigrants, in American history. The idea that border security is the solution just bothers me. I mean, we don't even have a wooden fence among all of America's southern border. The idea that we need more technology is just wrong. Boots on the ground. They're not going to stop, you know, illegal immigrants the same way they haven't stopped drugs. And the third thing, the incentive, as I said and I'll say again, the incentive has changed. They're not coming here to do jobs. They're not taking jobs from Americans. Nobody in this room would go pick beans in a field in the Central Valley that is valuable.
Not all of those jobs are
picking
beans.
The majority of them
let's
are
hear your
agricultural.
response
They're
before
not
we
all.
open it up to everyone.
I work in a community right now that has illegal immigrants who come in. They give me their photo ID from Mexico. These are jobs that are painting, that are doing carpet flooring. They're doing all of these types of jobs. And there are several different races out there that could benefit from these jobs, and they're not all just picking farms.
But the majority of them come here to do important agricultural work that a lot of us would never spend a day in our lives doing,
that's
even
fine.
if we were unemployed.
That's fine. Let them do that and reform them, and they should have guest worker program we've had, and let's tighten that up. You're right. But as far as doing jobs that other people won't do, that's just ridiculous. I mean, like I said a little bit earlier, I'm an actor, we're struggling, we'll do any kind of job. I've catered, I've washed dishes, I've served people, I've been working out in the rain, wherever.
And you don't feel slighted by an illegal immigrant that's taken any of those jobs from you.
What?
The idea that immigrants, which make up 5% of the labor force.
What do you mean? I don't mean what? I don't feel slighted.
You don't, name a time, the idea that immigrants are taking jobs and competing with people, I mean, it makes no sense.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People, they do those type of jobs as well.
A lot of these immigrants, they come in and they do the jobs that Americans don't want to do. That's
Exactly
why
right.
back
like what?
Back in 1962, which is the Bracero program, the government, the U.S. government made a deal with the Mexican government to bring all these Mexicans to work in the fields. And you know what happened? We just use them just for the hard labor.
Okay, is that true today though? Or are they just doing that kind of work?
Well, there's
they're doing construction. They're doing heating and air conditioning. They're doing waiting tables.
Are you telling me that there are no Americans that are willing to go out and do painting in apartments?
Yeah.
No, let's not get into hyperbole.
Bricks?
Obviously, there are Americans that will go paint
what are you
and
saying
will be
the jobs
waiters. What I'm
Americans
saying
won't
is
do?
this is a big distraction. They're not stealing our jobs. They're coming here because they're running from the most dangerous. We had 90,000 kids.
Okay, but I beg to differ on that too. The most dangerous, not so much anymore. How about the Middle East? How about Africa?
Honduras,
Those people
Guatemala, and El Salvador
I've been there.
are among the United
Africa?
Nations top 5 most dangerous countries in the world.
What's going on over there now?
We're not getting illegal immigrants from the Middle East or Africa. This is a
Well,
debate about
who's coming through this border? We don't have a
They
secure
come in
border.
with
We
strong
don't
values
know
over
who's
here.
coming
They
through.
said-
We know who's coming through there.
They come in for the American dream as well. You know,
But we have a
these
legal
workers come in,
structure for that.
Yes.
Why have any border at all if we're just going to let people flow in?
The point is not to close the border or open the border. The point is to fix the structural problems that plague violent countries where 90,000 kids in the last fiscal year have fled to. Kids under 18 that are running from organized crime are not coming here to take jobs that I'm applying
Eventually
to.
they will, but can we house them?
No,
We
the
feel
point is
for them.
not
We
to
have
house
compassion
them
for
all.
them as well.
The point is
Trust me,
that we
nobody
need a-
likes it. I'm a female. I don't want to see a child suffer. I'm the last person that wants to see that. But we
No,
cannot
we can't
take
just
it
turn them
everywhere
around and
we
kick
want.
them back to Honduras
come
without
in
a
for-
second afterthought.
These workers come in for a better life and fulfill the American
No
dream.
one is negating that.
There are Americans who are already here looking for a better life. And they're getting put off to the
this
side.
is a
People are
50
getting
million
free housing,
Americans.
This is
free
a
education,
distraction.
and we're broke. We have no means
This
to.
is a distraction. The point is not that we are losing jobs, that we are losing competitiveness to illegal immigrants and children. The point is we have a humanitarian crisis that demands
We have one
not
here.
rhetoric
Oh,
about.
we have one. There's like,
Nobody's
how many unemployed do
denying
we
that.
have here?
We have an
Come on, we gotta
unemployment
take
rate
care
that
of
is the
50
lowest it's
million
been since the
people in
recession
poverty.
began. The economy is.
Oh, it is not great.
This is
Trust me.
again,
I've always
a
wanted
distraction.
to
93.
Well, we hate to end such a fiery debate, but we're going to turn it over to Tina now.
Okay, this is good. I told you these youth have a lot to say, and I'm so glad we're getting an opportunity to come to the table and express their views. Well, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to bring the adults back in. So back in a moment.
Little voice came on the phone and said, Daddy, when you come home. He said the first thing that came to his mind,
I'm already there.
I'm already there. Take a look around. Oh, I'm already there.
Being there. Pass it on.
Welcome back to Eye on You. Okay, in this closing segment, Dr. Brown, you had a question during the break. Why don't we open that up to the panel?
Yeah, I would like to hear from everyone. We've talked a lot about patrolling and closing the borders, but what are we going to do about the millions of undocumented workers and students, young people, who are already here? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think the idea that people will just somehow self-deport, the idea that we can just round them all up and kick them out with more money or boots, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think the long-term solution to this problem is to implement a pathway to citizenship, which has received bipartisan support and also has a majority of support in public
Okay, no one's talking
opinion.
about rounding them out, just throwing them out, you know, like that,
They
and
absolutely
being
are.
hostile. Well, no,
No one
not
has.
quite. You know, they should go through the process, the legal process, like everyone else. It's very
But
simple.
the legal
you cut off
process
that
is broken.
spigot.
We need
Well,
to
that's
amend
what-
the
I know we're
entire
trying to fix it,
immigration
but why should
system
they
in
get-
this
why should
country.
they get
We have a
advantage
legal
over-
structure
it's
for a
has to be
reason.
No,
fair
no,
for everybody.
they would.
The
we
laws
would
in
need
this
to
country are
look
not being
at
followed
the people
today.
that are in
That's
they're
the
getting
problem.
their visas.
We
Then
have
we can also
laws.
talk about the 11 million
We have
people.
We
laws,
have
follow the
laws.
laws.
I
I
I think
would
we
throw
should
away
give a
those
chance
young
to the
children.
immigrants to stay here and make the legal process much faster. That's the only way we're going to solve these problems.
The only reason
When
your
you talk
side
about
wants
what's legal
to
and what
give them
isn't,
citizenship
slavery
is so
was
they
legal.
can
What
vote
does that
for you
did
so
that
you
mean
can
that
give
it was
more
okay?
money.
No,
That's
it's the
the
same
bottom
thing with
line.
immigration laws.
want
They're
them
not
to share
humane.
labor.
When
That's
you
what we
change the
follow the
laws,
law.
I
so
want
they
to
take
I
into
wanna keep
consideration the
you
lives of
here.
immigrants.
I've said
Look,
this
we
once,
support
but not the
I'll-
way you guys
I
want
think
to
this
do it.
bears repeating. President Obama has presided over one of the largest peacetime out. The idea that we're not
Okay.
Look,
enforcing
we
That's a
support
lie.
legal.
You're
We
lying.
support
You're lying
legal
to the
immigration.
King.
Yes,
We're
supported
against
laws.
illegal
people from the
immigration.
country more so than
We have
any
to
other
protect the
president in
United
history.
States
You
first.
you
Protect us
guys
coming into
said
this country.
structural solutions that are
Protect us
needed.
coming into this
93,000
country.
illegal children came in the last year. You said it, not us.
Yeah.
You
Doctor-
said
And
it.
they're here and
And
staying
of those
because of the law that
93,
President Bush
how
passed that
many
mandates
died
they go
on
before
the
an
way
immigration
coming?
judge.
Doctor, to
how many
answer
people
your
died?
question,
How
to
many
answer your
died?
question, we
What do you mean?
remove the incentive for them to stay here. We're not talking about rounding everybody up and moving them out
Would
of
you
the country.
put your kid
Fine
on a
He's
train
not-
going
he's not
60
president.
miles an
He's
hour
not president.
on the roof
He's
of a
not
train?
president.
Would you do it? Would you put your child on a train going 60 miles an hour on the roof and see if he or she makes it? If they fall and die, they're lucky. But if
You
they
remove
fall
that
and cut
incentive
an
for them
arm
to
or a
stay
leg, That's
here.
horrible.
If they even make it
The
here.
idea we should
If they even
prevent
make
them
it
from
here.
coming because they get injured
Well,
along
people
the
from
way.
different
Or
countries
kidnapped
Americans
and
to come
killed
here
and
to the
everything
United
else?
States
You know how
to
they
achieve
do
Why
it?
this
don't
American
we
dream.
help
Send
them in
little
their own
ones?
country?
That's what I said.
Mexico?
Why
at
don't
the
we help,
beginning of the
but,
show.
but not to bring them
Come on.
in?
I don't
because we
think you
don't
should
know.
deport them because
Not
you're
to
going to
bring
break
I'm not
families
talking about-
apart.
Well,
You
you're
know, that's
breaking
gonna-
family
that's
apart
that's
now.
that's-
Yeah.
You
We're gonna
maybe
have to wrap
3,000
up this
kids here.
discussion.
We're going to need to wrap. This is a great debate. Like I said, great debate. Okay? But you know what? We're going to hear from our host moderator. And he's going to, you've listened to this, Jeff. So you know what? I'd like to hear what's your wrap us up today.
I must say today we had some great young people that gave some great commentary on illegal immigration and immigration. The interesting part is none of them today really could come up with any one single solution. So as these episodes continue on, I think we learned a lot today from our youth and how they really feel about one side is very pro, let's do everything we can. The other side is we can't afford to do this anymore. Well, there's got to be a better way. So in winding it all down is there is no simple solution to illegal immigration. The solution is working together and getting our government in Washington to function to make something happen.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett. That's the way he sees it. This has been Eye on You. Thank you for watching.
Cause nothing ever gonna make this world better if we don't start believing that love really, really, really is the answer. Everybody join hands cause it's time now.